Okay. My topic is on juveniles tried as adults. My claim is that minors tried as adults, minors tried as juveniles, rather than adults, are more likely to stay away from crime, and it would benefit the crime system, I guess. Juveniles are less likely to recommit crimes if they're tried as juveniles rather than just put in adult, tried as adults. A study of over 500 youths charged in Pennsylvania found that youths transferred to an adult court rather than staying in the juvenile court were more likely to be convicted and incarcerated rather than not recommitting again. And the rates were higher, so that's good. Another study shown in prosecuting juveniles in the adult criminal system say that over half of them transferred to the youth reoffended after the age of 18, while only 35 that stayed in juvenile did. Only 35% recommitted. And also stated by prosecuting juveniles in the adult criminal justice system is that criminals that had been transferred to adult courts in prison were shown to be to recommit more serious crimes as opposed to the juveniles that recommitted, that did more minor crimes that they did recommit but where they weren't as likely to. And transferred minors have also been proven to recommit more quicker rather than being tried in a regular criminal court. And also it's bad that they're incarcerated with the regular adults because they're not as safe as they would be with the other juveniles because they're with people their age and they're with people like in the same state of mind as them, I guess. In the article, Prosecuting Juveniles in Adult Courts and Assessment of Trends and Consequences, it showed that the minors that were put in adult prisons were 7.7 times more likely to commit suicide. They were 5 times more likely to be sexually assaulted, twice as likely to be beaten by a staff, and more likely to be attacked with weapons. And juveniles, they're put in adult prisons, are not always taken care of as they should be. Put in adult prisons are not always taken care of as needed, and they face struggles as being harassed by the other adults there because they're not in the same state of mind, they're not the same age. They're just not as safe as they would be with people their own age. And so I hope that you would agree that minors being tried as juveniles is a more safe and more efficient way to try them rather than putting them with adults or trying them with adults.
I do.
Okay.
Did you have an original draft that I gave you comments on?
Oh yeah.
I'm supposed to have that too, yes. right, at the start of the presentation, you were having a hard time getting the claim out, and to be honest with you, I thought you said almost exactly the opposite of what you've got on your outline as I'm looking at it here. So and by the way, which is the opposite of what the draft outline was, which might be another reason why I was a little bit confused. And I was listening to the first set of evidence that you presented, and the first piece of information said, okay, I think that's supporting the claim that she said. And then the very second piece, I said, no, that's going the exact opposite direction of what she was talking about. So I kind of said, okay, well, maybe that's the argument that she's making, and so it needs to be a lot clearer at the beginning of the speech. And I think the phrasing of the proposition is part of the problem there. You don't really provide a structure for the listeners in listening to the argument. It does seem ultimately that it's divided into 2 points. One, whether or not it has an effect on whether or not the juveniles reoffend, and the second, whether or not there is some risk or harm that occurs to the juvenile offenders by being put in the adult system. So that's, I think, you know, like I said, that helps a little bit, but I think setting that up earlier in the presentation would be helpful. Like I said, the evidence that you presented, I was originally confused because I thought your inference was in the opposite direction, but you did have 2 or 3 good pieces of evidence that suggest that the reoffending rate is higher when they are treated under the adult criminal justice system as opposed to the juvenile justice system. It does sound, though, like you're mostly talking about minor crimes in those situations, and I'm not exactly sure whether or not juveniles are prosecuted as adults for the kinds of crimes that you're talking about. The threats to the juveniles in the adult system when they are imprisoned, I thought you had good statistical information on that point. The source citations need to be a little bit clearer there. When you present, you need to do a couple of things. Very simple suggestion here. Speak up a little more and speak out a little bit more. You need to kind of look up and speak up when you're talking to us. You have a tendency to look down while you're speaking, and even though, you know, if you can be heard if you look down, if you project your voice a little more, and you're not doing that either. All right. Thank you.